Beyond the Gates gets wild with Dana, Leslie, Thomas, Trisha Mann Grant, and her wicked schemes, and what she's going to do next when she finds out money can't buy happiness and cannot solve all of your problems. We're going to dive into 5 things I think Leslie may do as her antics get more wild when she finds out the fortune that she fell into isn't fixing her life. The first thing I want to talk about is I think Leslie's going to try and make Dr. Nicole Dupree Richardson, Daphne Duplay, think that she and Dr. Ted Richardson, Maurice Johnson, are regularly bed buddies. It was really awful that Leslie ran over to Ted's hotel room after Eva Thomas, Amber Michelle, said that he was drunk. That's very typical of Leslie. Honestly, I don't even think Ted was sober enough to consent. Not that that would stop her. When he woke up, hungover, and saw her there, Ted freaked out. That hurt Leslie when he tossed her aside yet again, especially when she was calling him Teddy Bear, which is terrible. But Nicole is the woman for him. I knew when they showed Ted's suit and tie laying there that Leslie was going to grab that tie and flaunt it. I thought she might wait a minute, hold back, do it later. No, she went right to it. Leslie laid that right in Nicole's face. Heck, she might have even been the one to buy him that tie. Leslie wanted to make it very clear to Nicole that she and Ted are lovers again. She wants her to think they are rekindling their romance, which of course comes at the worst possible moment because Nicole was just thinking about giving Ted another chance. If Leslie finds out that Nicole is thinking about giving him another chance, I think she is going to keep it up and ramp it up, doing everything she can to have Nicole thinking that they are still sleeping together. This could be the absolute end of the road for Nicole and Ted. However, it also makes Leslie the consolation prize, which sounds terrible, but I don't think she even cares. The second thing to talk about is I think Leslie is going to look for answers about who her dad is. We've seen Leslie busy spending all that money that Anita Dupree, Tamara Tooney endowed for Barbara's family. But once shopping gets tiresome, which it eventually will, even for new money-hungry, thirst-trapping Leslie, she may get introspective and ask some more questions about her origins. She found out from Peaches about her mom, Barbara, but there's still this big gap there. The question is, who is Leslie's father? There's been some suspicions that it might be Vernon Dupree, Clifton Davis, and he could be part of the reason that Barbara and the Articulates fell apart. I'm sure they're going to circle back around at some point to Leslie's paternity story. There are not a lot of men on BTG old enough to be Leslie's dad. Vernon really is the only one that fits the bill. However, it could be somebody off-screen. Vernon may have a brother, and Leslie can call him Uncle Vernon instead of Daddy Vernon. I still am kind of hoping that Leslie is Vernon's spawn because that would be the worst possible thing for the Dupree family. And we know the hits just keep coming. They just have one drama after another. The third thing to talk about is I think Leslie is going to entrench herself into Fairmont Crest and find the most aggravating places to put herself. So Anita Dupree and Vernon Dupree thought they'd done an end run with the board at Fairmont Crest Country Club to block Leslie from membership, even though it usually comes automatically with the purchase of a house beyond the gates, which Leslie has done. But then Leslie was so happy to rub it in Nicole and Anita's faces that she basically bribed the board by offering to build a new athletic wing. She's got her membership. They didn't stop anything. I'm guessing Anita's going to start seeing Leslie everywhere she turns. For instance, Anita is on a bunch of charity boards and committees and fancy things that rich ladies do that engage in philanthropy. I do suspect Leslie is going to try and join those same organizations and the same boards because Leslie's not happy unless she's making somebody else uncomfortable. I think she wants to continue to be a thorn in Anita's side. Leslie has no chill, no ability to just be content with what she's got. Thanks to Anita and Vernon, Leslie's got a lot, more than she's ever had in her life. Eva just wishes her mom would go shopping, leave the Dupree alone, and just be thankful for this multi-million-dollar miracle, but she's not. The next thing I want to talk about is Leslie trying to get Ted back in her bed for real. Speaking of miracles falling into her lap, Leslie was so excited she got the chance to fall back into Teddy Bear's bed. Letting Leslie in the room was such a tactical mistake for Ted to make. Leslie already had this insane fantasy in her head about them being meant to be, that they're soulmates. And just all this nonsense. That's why Eva was so upset with her. Dad, Ted, for opening the door and doing the deed with her mom. Because Eva's been working on trying to get Leslie past this fantasy of ever being with Ted. Eva does not want her parents reunited. She seems to be Team Nicole. She would like to see Ted and Nicole's marriage put back together because Eva feels so guilty about being part of why it was torn apart. Now that Leslie had a taste of Ted again, I think she's going to double down on the insanity, especially if she gets a big reaction from Nicole over the tie drop and the implication that Leslie is a continual guest in Ted's bed. I don't think Ted will ever knowingly hop back in bed with Leslie. However, I can see her going to great lengths to get what she wants from Ted. Leslie might get Ted drunk and try and play hop on pop with him again. I could see Leslie drugging him to get past those pesky consent issues and even take some photos of them to send to Nicole. I just don't think Leslie's going to stop until she gets more sexy time with Ted, and I think she will cross any line to make it happen. The last thing I want to talk about is Leslie looking for a partner in crime who is also unhappy with what's happening to them beyond the gates. Considering that Haley Lawson, Marquita Goings, is also an outsider who's living in a big mansion in Fairmont Crest and getting the cold shoulder, they've got a lot in common. If you remember Haley's first time at the club, Danny Dupree, Carla Mosley, came over and just slapped Haley's face. That was the big welcome to Fairmont Crest moment that was heavily teased in the initial promo when Beyond the Gates first began. Now, more than 120 episodes later, we have this new interloper, Leslie, who a lot of people dislike more than they did Haley. Leslie's basically telling Haley, "Hold my beer, watch how it's done." We briefly saw Leslie trying to conspire with Haley a month or so back when they had a run-in at Orphe Jean's, and it didn't seem to come to anything. However, Haley and Leslie are both living beyond the gates. They're both not accepted. They're both getting pushback from the Dupree. They may find sympathy with each other. I think it'd be wild if Haley and Leslie started lunching together at the club. The Dupree would flip. And if they start plotting? Together, honestly, the Dupree, Ted, and Bill Hamilton, Timon Kyle Durrett, may not even stand a chance. I know a lot of fans really hate Leslie. And I agree the character is terrible, but the best villains are ones that you love to hate. Actress Trisha Mann-Grant, who plays Leslie, recently addressed a fan who made a TikTok video that went viral, and they were talking about how much they hate Leslie. The actress came in and commented on the post and said, "Hold on to your seatbelt because Leslie's about to give 10 more reasons to hate her." Then she thanked them for loving and hating her character. It was very wild. She understands the difference between people hating her and people hating the character, and she's embracing it. At least the character hate. There's a lot more to come.